Hi, welcome to the Backyard Chicken Summit. My name is Cassie and I'm delighted to be here with you today. Whether you're new to chickens or an experienced poultry keeper, we all have new things to learn and I'm delighted to be able to share one of my expertise with you today. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I grew up on a farm and have had poultry in my life my whole life. And I've had my own backyard flock now for almost 18 years. I currently have about 25 chickens, and this is one of them, Mavi. She's going to help us learn today about my topic of choice, sauerkraut. Now, within my own flock, sauerkraut is one of the most common ailments that I see and treat. And I also do a lot of work in my community, and it's a very common ailment in the community as well. The other thing that is important to know about sauerkraut is that it oftentimes will look like other diseases and gets misdiagnosed and then not treated and can be fatal when let go. So we're going to dive in today and learn all of my sauerkraut secrets.
Welcome to my presentation, Sauerkraut Secrets. Today, you'll be getting tools for understanding, identifying, treating, and preventing sauerkraut in your chickens. Again, my name is Cassie Weaver. I go online as the Humboldt Hen Helper. Like you, I love chickens. I've had chickens now for years, and I find them so entertaining and fun. I love chickens so much that I got involved in my community, first volunteering as a 4-H poultry leader, and now running my own nonprofit. I created Humboldt Hen Helper this year in 2024 as a way to help people in my county, Humboldt County, California, become better educated and better able to care for their own chickens. It's been such an exciting project to be able to meet people in person, meet their chickens, and help them take care of them, whether it's something simple like treating lice or mites, treating an injury, or helping work through an ailment or illness. It's been incredible to get to meet so many people and help them take better care of their chickens. I do want to put a disclaimer in here. I'm not a vet or a vet tech. I have taken my chickens and ducks to the vet multiple times and have tried to learn as much as possible from each interaction with a vet to add to my own knowledge. In addition, I spent a lot of time researching and reading the most up-to-date information about caring for poultry. However, my experience might be different than your own, and I want you to use your own best judgment when treating your own poultry. The method that I'm going to be sharing today for my treatment of sauerkraut is just one method that works. I have used it many, many times with success, and it's my go-to method, and I hope it works for you as well. What is sauerkraut? If you're new to chickens, this might be a brand new topic that you haven't heard of. Sauerkraut is a serious and potentially deadly ailment of chickens. With proper identification and treatment, most cases can be resolved successfully. Before we get into what exactly sauerkraut is, let's take a little look at the digestive anatomy of a chicken. A properly functioning crop empties completely every night. The crop is a pouch that's part of the digestive system that's on the front of the chicken's chest, as you can see in this picture here. During the day, a chicken fills its crop up with food, and over the course of the day, it then digests it. It's not uncommon at night for the crop to still be full, but in the morning, it should be completely empty. I advise people to take time to start getting used to what their chicken's crops feel like. Some chickens eat a lot and have very, very big crops in the evening, and then again should be empty in the morning. Other chickens eat much less and tend to have small crops. Knowing what your chicken's normal is huge in being able to identify whether or not you have an issue. So start doing that every evening. Check each chicken's crop, feel it again in the morning, make sure it's empty. Just start getting familiar with what the crop feels like, where it's located, and what's normal for your chicken. I do also like to have people do 2 other checks of their chickens daily just for overall health. One is just a little check of what's my chicken's normal body weight around the keel feel like, and what does their abdomen feel like, so that you can identify quickly if you have an issue with an individual chicken. These 3 checks have saved my chickens so many times because it enables me to identify when I have a problem the very first day. Crop problems include impacted crops, sour crops, and pendulous crops. Our main focus today is sour crop. Although there's going to be a lot of overlap with impacted crops, they tend to go hand in hand, and so some of our information would also be important if you are dealing with an impacted crop. Inside the chicken, the esophagus goes down into that crop. And again, it's a pouch where food is stored. I want you to notice that it's a little bit lower than that next stage of the digestive system, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later when we talk about crop massage. I also want you to notice how close organs like the liver are, and imagine how if a chicken was having other internal issues, like if they were all swollen up in the abdomen with fluid, or if they were having a reproductive infection of some kind, how internal pressure could impact the digestive system as well. I'm pointing this out because sour crop can be associated with other internal issues, and it's good to know what the internal anatomy of a chicken looks like to better understand that process. Essentially, sour crop is an overgrowth of yeast and or bacteria in the crop. Untreated, the crop starts functioning properly. Food and water are unable to be utilized by the chicken. Particularly because of the water being unable to pass through, the chicken becomes severely dehydrated very quickly and can seem very, very unwell. What can cause sour crop? Sour crop can be caused by a number of things. If you've used antibiotics with your chickens, the antibiotics can damage the natural good flora that occur in the chicken's crop and digestive system, and that can contribute to an overgrowth of yeast or a different kind of bacteria that antibiotics weren't treating. We could also develop sour crop when a chicken is eating contaminated food or water, or if they've been consuming something that causes a full or partial blockage of their digestive system. In addition, as we talked about earlier, underlying diseases like Marek's disease, an enlarged liver, a reproductive infection or illness, or even an overabundance of a parasite like worms can put an impact onto the digestive system that can show up as a crop issue. I would like to advise you, the first time that you see your sick chicken, that you immediately think and address, could this be a crop issue? It's that common. Always eliminate the possibility that a chicken is unwell because of a crop issue by checking to make sure that that crop completely empties in the morning. Crop issues can present in many ways. Lethargic behavior can be a crop issue. Lack of coordination can be a crop issue. Gurgling and respiratory problems can be a crop issue. I've seen chickens in a penguin stance that we normally associate with being egg-bound as being a digestive or crop issue. Excessive drinking can be a sign that they're trying to flush their crop out. And if you see a chicken that's not pooping or is only pooping tiny amounts or only passing out like white urates, that too can be a crop issue. I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to show you a video now with Mobby of what I'm looking for when I'm addressing a sick chicken and trying to find out if it could be a crop issue.
We're going to pretend that Mobby's not feeling well. So when you go out into your coop and observe your chickens, spending some time every day in the morning is an excellent choice to see how they're all doing. A chicken that's not feeling well is going to look different than your other chickens. They might be kind of hunched up, hanging out away from other chickens. They might be drinking excessively. They might be avoiding eating. They're going to behave in ways that seem a little different. And one of the first things I want you to check when you notice that is, how is their crop? The crop is this area here in the front of the chicken where their food gets stored before they digest it. And in the morning, all chickens should have a completely empty crop. You should feel it, and there should be almost nothing there at all. It should just be flat and empty. If you can still feel food that's left over from the day before, or it feels squishy like a water balloon, you potentially have a crop problem, and we need to start treating it as such. They can go downhill really quickly with a crop problem, and so please do take this very seriously and take the time to isolate that chicken and remove its access to any food. Our very first step in sour crop treatment is going to be isolating them in a cage, and that cage, again, should have no access to food at all. My chickens tend to be real munch mouths and will oftentimes even eat bedding. So being careful about what kind of bedding you put into that isolation pen is important. Puppy pads are a good choice, an old towel is a good choice, or if your chickens aren't munch mouths like mine, shavings would be fine as well. The importance of this isolation is, one, they're not going to have access to any food during the day. It's going to give them a chance to potentially work through what's already in their crop. Two, it's going to give you a chance to observe for any other symptoms. Are they in respiratory distress? What does their poop look like? Are they pooping at all? And it also gives us a chance to offer Epsom salts in their water to start flushing their crop out. If it wasn't a crop problem, Epsom salt water is not going to hurt them at all. And the only other thing that should be in that pen with them is grit, so that they can make that choice to eat the grit and hopefully trigger their digestive process to get working again. We're going to take a look at what those steps look like here in our next segment.
I want to note here that a crop issue can make a chicken seem the sickest you've ever seen them. It's scary and it's easy to panic, but I want to reassure you that most cases can be resolved with the steps we're going to be covering today. You can get clues in the poos. I've included 2 pictures here to illustrate what I was talking about earlier about chickens that are maybe not pooping at all, always a big warning sign, or maybe they're only passing out white urates. That's almost what's there in that first picture, although there is a tiny little bit of feces in there as well. Or like this splatter poop that I have this picture of, where there's just tiny, tiny amounts of actual feces and the rest is just liquid. Both of these types of poops make me concerned that there's some type of digestive blockage that's not allowing the chicken to pass out normal amount of feces. So if you're seeing no poop, just water, just white urates, or tiny, tiny poops, that's an indication that you could potentially have a crop issue or a digestive blockage going on with your chicken. I also want to note here the importance of paying attention to your chickens when they're molting. Garbage eating during a molt is a real thing. Chickens who are molting feel lousy and like to kind of hang along the sidelines of your run or your yard. They're trying to avoid hanging out in the fray of the other chickens, maybe avoiding the feeding stations altogether. And instead of eating chicken food, they're picking up things along the sidelines like wood chips, sawdust, dirt, rocks, nails, string, styrofoam, whatever they can find. Sometimes they're not making good choices because they're hungry, but they don't want to get into the main feeding scene. I've had molting go hand in hand with sour crop several times and want to encourage you to not just chalk up a chicken that seems unwell to molting and to still keep tabs on that crop morning and night, even though they don't really want you to pick them up and handle them. If they're not feeling well, it's important to still address their issues, and a crop impactation or digestive blockage can easily happen during molting because of this garbage eating. Before we get into the home steps that you can do, if available, a veterinarian is a great choice for sour crop. If they can get you in the day you realize you have a problem. A vet can do things we just simply can't do at home. They can culture a sample of the crop contents to determine if it's fungal, bacterial, or both. They can safely reduce the crop contents in a way that we're not able to do at home. They can provide subcutaneous fluids to help combat dehydration. They can prescribe the right antifungal or antibiotic depending on the results of the culture. And they can also do an x-ray or ultrasound to determine if there's other issues that might be causing digestive blockage, such as an enlarged organ, enlarged abdomen, or other internal issue. Vets are amazing, and if you have one available and it's in your budget, this is a great route to go with sour crop. I understand we don't all have qualified avian vents in our community, and sometimes we can't get into one soon enough, or we can't afford it. Those are all realities. If one of these applies to you, here are the things you can do at home. Having a home sour crop kit on hand is smart. The 5 things I keep on hand at all times in case of a crop emergency are Epsom salt, coconut oil, chick grit, digestive enzymes, and an antifungal medication. Now, most of these are able to be purchased in our community day of if you discover you have a crop problem. I like to keep them on hand because I like to be prepared, and they're pretty easy to get a hold of. When you suspect you have a crop issue, here's our steps. Now, I have a whole video of this as well, so I'm going to go through these quickly, and then we'll watch this in video format. So, step 1, isolate your chicken. You're going to prepare Epsom salt water for them and give them a dish of poultry grit. The quantity of Epsom salt that you're going to add is 1 teaspoon to 1 cup of water. And if your chicken is not actively drinking on its own, you may need to provide little bits of water at a time through a tiny little syringe or dropper very, very carefully to make sure that some of that fluid is getting into their crop to help aid the process. The Epsom salt acts like a flush and can help start detoxifying the crop right away.
We're back. So this is our step 1 for a potential crop problem. A great, nice, sturdy isolation cage, a safe place to keep them, and as I was speaking earlier, something down on the bottom that's not going to be a food source for them. I just chose an old towel here. Now, I do want to note, because this has happened to me before, is that cages like this, although they're very safe, might not be safe to leave outside. Raccoons can reach in and pull chickens through wires like this, so you're going to want to keep this cage someplace that is going to be predator proof as well. Trust me on this. So here's our first step, and if you notice a chicken that's unwell, you really can set this up and get them going on treatment while you go around the community trying to find the other things that you might need during the course of that day. So this is a great starter point if all you have is a little bit of time that morning to be like, oh no, Mobby's not feeling well, let's get her some treatment. So I'm going to take Mobby, I'm just going to put her in her isolation cage. Okay. This is going to give me a chance to observe her a little. When she poops or doesn't poop, I'll be able to see that. I'm going to make sure that she has a nice full dish of granite poultry grit. That will go in there. And then the only other thing that she's going to get, I'm going to measure out 1 cup of water. And to it, I'm going to add just 1 teaspoon of Epsom salt. And if you keep just a couple of things for chickens on hand, Epsom salt is an excellent choice because it has a lot of different functions that you can use. I'm going to mix up that 1 teaspoon of Epsom salt into that water, and that will go in her pen as well for her to drink over the course of her day. Now, the purpose of that Epsom salt is it's going to start flushing out those crop contents and will help start getting things moving in her system. And it's an excellent way to help flush things out of a crop, and sometimes will resolve issues really quickly without a lot of other problems.
Our next step involves giving coconut oil, chick grit, and a digestive enzyme. These steps are to help combat if there is a full or partial blockage somewhere in the digestive system. In my experience with sour crop, there almost always is, and so I take this step every time just as a precaution because in my experience, they go hand in hand. These 3 items together are going to help start flushing things through the system. The coconut oil acts as a lubricant to flush things out. The grit helps break things down, and the digestive enzyme starts targeting the different things that might be causing a blockage. Typically, the blockage is going to be some kind of plant material, and so a digestive enzyme that contains cellulase is a great choice. And these are just going to be human digestive enzymes that you would be able to find at your local drugstore or pharmacy. I've got a video of these steps coming up as well. So I want to note that these actions together, the digestive enzymes, the coconut oil, and the Epsom salt, have a real effect on moving things through the chicken. And as things are moving through the chicken, you may end up with some very alarming and even explosive poos. So here are 3 pictures of poop that has actually happened while I'm treating sauerkraut for either my own chicken or someone else's. The color might be very strange. The consistency might be very strange. That final one where you've got that image of weird chunks, which I think was a blockage passing through, the poop might look really odd. So don't be alarmed. The combination of these things can produce really strange looking poop. Just be excited that poop's coming out because that means things are happening. Let's take a look now at the video of the steps in action.
Our next step for a potential crop issue is involving 3 items. Those items are going to be digestive enzymes. I like these. This is the brand I use, but any digestive enzyme that contains cellulase is going to be a great choice because it's going to break down cellulose, which is your most common issue that's causing a blockage that could be contributing to the sauerkraut. These are just digestive enzymes for people. You should be able to get them at your grocery store or pharmacy, if not online. The next thing I have here is just a little container is chick grit. And then I have coconut oil. I have it measured out here into a dish, 2 tablespoons, but it's just your basic coconut oil. I like these items because they're usually pretty accessible in the community. I usually can go and buy these things day of if I have a problem, if I don't have them on hand. Now what I have here is empty pill capsules, and I keep these for a number of reasons. And one is if I can't get my chicken to consume this coconut oil, which I could put that grit on, I can put it into this little capsule and give it to it. And you're gonna learn how to give a chicken a pill right now. So some chickens are really, really excellent about just eating coconut oil. And that's one of the reasons I prefer it over any other kind of oil. Mineral oil and olive oil also help with this problem, but coconut oil oftentimes will just be eaten right up by a chicken. And if that's the case, we can just sprinkle that chick grit right on it, and your chicken will just start eating that coconut oil and start getting that relief. Okay, I don't really want her to eat all of it because it makes their poop really interesting and ready. She's pretty excited about it. Sometimes though, your chicken is gonna be so lethargic and not interested in eating that you're gonna need to take this coconut oil and force feed it. Don't be scared. I want you to think about every time you have to do something forcefully with your chicken that you're saving its life, because you are. Okay, so don't be scared to be forceful with your chicken. You are saving it. It needs what you're doing for it. So anytime you need to do something where you're forcing a chicken to eat something or take a pill, you're going to take your pointer finger and your thumb. Your thumb gets wrapped around their head. Your pointer finger is going to open their beak up like this, and then you're just going to pop that thing in their mouth. Not hard. Practice, it gets easier. I could do that with my capsule of chick grit if she wasn't eating it regularly and excitedly. Okay, again, thumb, forefinger, wrapping it around her head and popping it in. Okay, and then I can do that with my digestive enzyme. She doesn't need a digestive enzyme. I don't want to waste it. But exact same thing, where I'm going to take my thumb and forefinger, open up her beak, and in goes the digestive enzyme. Now, if she was eating, I could take all these things and I could mix them together. I could put the digestive enzyme in with that coconut oil, just let her eat it. So don't feel like you have to be forceful with that chicken if they're eager to eat these things, but know that if you need to, you can do it.
It's noteworthy to mention here, do not feed your bird anything else besides the coconut oil, the grit, the Epsom salt water, the digestive enzyme until that crop is completely empty. The steps with the Epsom salt water and the coconut oil and the digestive enzymes can be repeated that second day if the crop still has not emptied. But do not feed them. While you're waiting for that crop to empty, you can engage in crop massage. Crop massage is massaging the contents of the crop. It helps start breaking down things that might be blocking the digestive system from processing, and it also stimulates the crop to start functioning properly again. When we talked earlier about chicken digestive anatomy, I pointed out how the crop can hang just a little lower than that next stage of the digestive system. If your chicken will tolerate being massaged from the bottom part of the crop upwards just a little, that can aid in things moving into that next stage of the digestive system. If that makes the chicken start regurgitating, I want you to back off and instead massage more upwards to downwards until that chicken can tolerate a more upwards motion from the lower part of the crop up. Now, I put this picture of this stress ball here because the way you're going to massage it is going to be really similar to how you would use a stress ball. It's a more firm action than most people think, and it's really helping break it down. You're going to do this longer than you think you might need to, too. The recommended length of time is 20 minutes, and if you can do it 2 to 3 times a day while they're really still having those contents in the crop, this can be a really helpful way to start getting things to move along. Again, if the chicken starts regurgitating as a result of this, back off, be more gentle, or even stop altogether. We don't want the chicken to regurgitate. The next step that we're going to add in, and ideally this will be the same first day if you can get an antifungal, is to start providing an antifungal for the chicken. You're going to get this antifungal for 10 full days. When you investigate this on the internet, you might find people who are suggesting 5 days is sufficient. In my experience, 5 days is not enough. So go ahead and do a full 10 days. The reason we're using an antifungal is that most cases of sour crop do have an underlying overgrowth of yeast, and yeast is a kind of fungus that we can treat with an antifungal medication. There are 3 that most people can get on hand quite easily. One is nystatin. If you see a vet, it's excellent and works very well. If you can't get to a vet in a timely fashion, metastatin, which is a type of nystatin for birds that can be purchased online, is a great second choice. If neither of those are available to you that first day and you want to get started with something, miconazole, like Monistat, is also for treating yeast infections and can be used in a pinch. In my experience, it's not as good as metastatin or nystatin, but it's better to start with something right away than nothing. Let's go ahead and watch our next video showing how to administer an antifungal in this step.
Sauerkraut is typically caused by an overgrowth of yeast. And so we really need an antifungal to treat that overgrowth and stop the whole process so that your chicken can heal. In my experience, your very best bet is to get nystatin from a vet. But I know that's not always an option. We have avian vets in our area, but they're very expensive, and I can't take every chicken to the vet every time I need to. So having things at home are really important so that you can take care of your chicken when necessary. It's also a great idea to have on hand because sometimes, even when you have the finances for a vet, the vet isn't available in a timely fashion. The last time I tried to get a vet appointment, it was 10 days out, and 10 days would have been too long. So if you can't get to a vet, my top choice is metastatin. Metastatin is a variety of nystatin, and it can be purchased online. I have 3 different websites I'm going to give you later where you can get it. I've never found it in a local store, so it's something worthwhile to have in your medicine cabinet in case you ever need it. The dosage for metastatin is 0.5 gram per pound of chicken, given twice a day. And most typical laying hens are going to be about 5 pounds. It's worth weighing your chicken out. It's also worth having a little scale. In my experience from weighing it out, for a chicken like Mobby, who's about 5 pounds, that translates into filling up about 3 of these size 00 empty capsules. So I just take and fill up the little scoop that comes with my metastatin. I open up the empty capsule and I pack it on in there, and I'll do that for 3 of them. Now, I'm not going to give Mobby actual medicine because she's not actually sick, and I want to save this for when I actually need it. But let me demonstrate again how you would give a pill. I'm going to demonstrate this empty capsule so that you have the opportunity to remember how to do that. And this is a great way for you to practice too with empty pills. Right, so again, giving a pill, you're going to take your thumb and forefinger, wrap that thumb around that chicken's head, use that pointer finger to open their beak, and then take that pill and pop it on down. Now give them a little time, make sure it clears, because you're going to be doing 3 in a row, twice a day, for 10 days. You're going to get lots of practice. Okay? Once they're able to start eating again, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, instead of packing it into these pills, you can sprinkle it on their food. No problem at all if you prefer doing that. I prefer the pills. I love doing it. It's easy. I'm sure they got it all in there. I don't have to worry if they ate all their food or not, or when they get integrated back into the flock, if someone else is trying to steal their food, I'm sure they got all their medicine. So it's my preferred delivery method. Now, you might be in a situation where you discover you have sauerkraut. You want to order metastatin, but it's not going to arrive for a few days. That's too long of a wait. You need to start treating it immediately. And an alternative when you can't get metastatin fast enough is miconazole. Miconazole is like what you would treat a yeast infection with. And I actually prefer the cream. This is a 2% cream. A 4% cream would be fine as well. But if you have the suppository version instead, that's totally fine. You're just going to cut it into thirds and give 1/3 as each of your treatment. So if you buy a box like this, you open it up, you have all these applicators, you don't need those at all. What you need is the actual cream. And when you're going to give a chicken a dosage of this, you'll open up the cream. It's a brand new one. I haven't had to use it yet. Oh boy, what is this? I know, it's exciting, huh? There we go. Bear with me. Thank you. All right. So you've opened it up, and what you're going to do is squirt out like this amount. Like if you imagine if it was all balled up, about a pea-size amount, and you're going to take and deliver it really similarly to a pill, except instead of popping it down their throat, you're just going to swipe it in their mouth. So again, thumb, forefinger, open up that chicken's beak and swipe it in their mouth. Delightful. And you're going to do that 2 or 3 times a day. Ideally, this is going to be what you use until you get this. In my experience, this is not as good as this, but it can do in a pinch. And it's great to get started because you do not want to let it go any longer than it has to. So get started with treatment as quickly as you can. And I love it because you can go down to your drugstore and get started right away.
Let's take a look at the dosages of the 3 different antifungals that I talked about. Now, nystatin would be coming from your vet and is going to be typically an oral suspension at 100,000 units per milliliter. Now, your vet will have weighed your chicken and will give you the dosage that you'll need, but the typical dosage for treatment of sauerkraut is going to be between 300,000 and 600,000 units per kilogram, given twice a day. So just in case you needed that information, there it is. Metastatin, you're going to give approximately 0.5 gram per pound of chicken body weight twice a day for the treatment of sauerkraut. And again, as mentioned in the video, having an actual scale to weigh that out is an excellent choice. If you're using miconazole, 2% or 4% cream will work, and you're going to give about a pea-sized amount swiped into the mouth 2 to 3 times a day. If you can't get the cream, a suppository will work as well. You'd want to cut it into thirds and give 1/3, again, 2 or 3 times a day for that full 10 days of treatment. Again, as I mentioned, metastatin is my go-to if I can't get to the vet for nystatin. And I've got 3 websites that I have purchased it from. My favorite is mikesfalconry.com. I like Mike's because it's a small family-run business out of Portland. If you call, you're typically talking to Mike. He's super knowledgeable and informative and wonderful. His business does cater to falconers, but he has a lot of products that are going to be really helpful for a chicken as well. So that's mikefalconry.com. Love that guy. SpringwaterAvian.farm is another great source. Their key contact point is named Amy, and she's a very active member of the Crossbeaks and Special Needs community on Facebook. And she's readily available on Messenger to ask questions about dosages and treatments and what products from her store would be useful for treating chickens. And they've got a wide array of products out there in addition to Metastatin. Jeds.com is a bigger online supplier of bird supplies. Again, great place to stock up on things you might need for your chickens. Metastatin is occasionally available on Amazon, but I would go with one of these more specialized bird websites over Amazon if I had a choice. Here's some warnings. Stop. Don't do it. I'm watching videos online frequently, and there's so much misinformation out there of people acting like they know what they're doing with chickens. Do not ever try to make your chicken forcibly vomit. The risk of aspiration is absolutely too great, and they could die on the spot if not developing a horrible case of aspiration pneumonia. Even without forcible vomiting, the risk of aspiration is a common occurrence with sour crop. Sometimes just the act of picking our chicken up when they have sour crop causes liquid to spew out of their mouth. And even if a tiny amount of that liquid comes back down into their lungs, it can cause aspiration pneumonia. If your chicken starts getting wheezy and gurgling while it has sour crop, if you can hear gurgling in its lungs, it unfortunately has developed aspiration pneumonia, and you're going to need to get an antibiotic to treat that in addition to treating the sour crop. It's really important because aspiration pneumonia can make them go downhill really fast, so you're going to want to get an antibiotic for that if that should occur. Step 4 is just sheer patience. This is a tough process. It really doesn't take a lot of days to accomplish sour crop treatment, but the days seem long because your chicken seems so sick. I really want to encourage you to hang in there and to not rush to feeding them until that crop is truly empty. Focus on keeping them hydrated the best you can. In extreme cases, if you really notice that they're shriveling away, their comb is shrinking, and you really think they're suffering from dehydration, subcutaneous fluids that could be obtained through your veterinarian could be the solution. So you may, if you couldn't get into the vet right away, a vet a couple days in could be the saving grace if your chicken is still going downhill because of dehydration. I like to look at this picture when I'm treating sour crop to remember how bad they look on day 1, how sick and sad. And typically by day 3, sometimes sooner, sometimes a little bit later, you've got a perky chicken that finally has an empty crop. And now comes the aftercare. You're not completely out of the woods. Your chicken that now has an empty crop is going to need a couple more days of care to make sure that that crop is functioning properly and they're able to digest things through. We have another video coming up where these steps are presented, so I'm going to go through this quickly. Your first day, something very small and easy to digest, like a single egg, is the perfect food. Second day, adding in some wetted chicken feed in a small quantity is a smart way to see if they're able to digest that. And by day 3, if all things are still going well, you can begin a soft reintroduction to the flock with some supervision. Let's go ahead and take a look at the video of these steps.
All right, so you've been doing all the steps. You've got your chicken isolated, you've got your Epsom salt water, you've got their grit, you've been giving them coconut oil, you've been giving the chick grit, the digestive enzymes, you got them started on an antifungal. What next? When are you going to know your chicken is better? Well, you need to wait until that chicken's crop is completely empty before you can start offering food. I mean it, no food. It's really hard. You look at your chicken seems hungry, but until that crop is empty in the morning, no food. It's really important. Typically, the process, once you've added all these things, takes about 24 to 48 hours. Occasionally it's longer, but you still need to hang in there and wait till that crop is completely empty before you offer them food. Hang in there. That first day when you wake up and you're like, yay, my chicken's crop is completely empty, the very best food to give them is egg. I know it seems strange, but it really is. You can take this egg and scramble it, or you can crack it and give it to them raw. And in my experience, sometimes chickens who won't eat a scrambled egg will eat a raw egg. I don't think Mommy's very hungry, but let's see if she's interested in it. I know you haven't been suffering for days without food. So typically they'll just go right for that egg and be super excited about it. That's day one. They eat one egg, just one. Okay, you want to really let their system ease back into digesting and be sure that their body did digest it, that their crop completely emptied again by that next morning. Okay, now you're to day two. Day two, you can repeat the egg, so a scrambled egg or a raw egg, and you can also start offering some wetted chicken feet. So this is just a lay crumble. I've already wetted it, but you can, add as much water as you want to make it nice and wet. I want you to notice the amount that I have here. It's only 1/4 of a cup, and this is the amount that I would let her eat over the course of a whole day. So I'd make my nice wetted chicken feed. I'd put some of it into a container. I'd save the rest to maybe give her a little bit later. Maybe not. You really are easing into it, okay? And give her a chance to check that out. I think she likes wetted chicken feed. Most chickens do, okay? That's day two. Again, you're gonna wait and make sure that that crop completely empties overnight before you proceed with day three. Day three is your chance, if the crop empties again, to start a really slow supervised reintroduction to the flock to make sure that they're easing into their role in the flock, that they're not getting picked on, that they're eating and drinking, and that you have that chance to check to make sure those processes are going well. You're also welcome to keep them isolated longer. There's no reason that day three has to be reintroduction. I do find that the sooner you can get back to reintroduction, the easier it is for your chicken. But if it's not the right day for you to give them a little supervision, you can totally do that on day 4 or day 5, whenever it's a good time for you. What's important to remember is that even once they go back with the flock, it is 10 full days you're going to give them an antifungal. My experience has led to believe that the 5 days that's recommended by many people, it's just not enough, and relapses happen, and then you're back at ground zero. So do the full 10 days, right? And during those full 10 days where you're still giving them the antifungal, even if they're with the flock, take the time to check their crop every morning and every night to make sure that it's empty in the morning, and at night that they have been eating, that they're actually starting to eat food, and that their whole digestive system is working again. It's worth the wait, and getting through this process is going to make you feel really successful when you see that chicken that once felt terrible feeling amazing again. You've got this.
We have reached the end of my sauerkraut secrets for treating sauerkraut, but this presentation would not be complete if I didn't talk about ways to prevent sauerkraut in the first place. That's really what it's about, is keeping our chickens well through good health and good practices. Choosing an appropriate feed for the age and stage of your chickens is a great way to start promoting good digestive health. When you have a mixed flock that includes mixed ages of chickens, including roosters, hens that might be laying, and hens that maybe are not laying, and chicks, all flock is your best choice. If you have just a flock of layer hens, then a lay feed is a great choice during their laying season, and you can switch to a chick grower starter during their non-laying seasons. Minimizing their treats to 10% or less of their diet is another great way to promote good digestive health. 10% is a tiny amount. It probably amounts to around 2 tablespoons per chicken per day. It's a very small amount. Scattering lots of things like scratch and mealworms is just excessive. Their complete chicken feed is the right choice for them. They should always have access to clean drinking water. This is really important. I know they like to go and drink out of mud puddles, but do make sure that they also have clean drinking water available at all times. They should have no moldy or spoiled food. I've seen outbreaks of sauerkraut in a flock that was given access to spoiled food, And I've also seen another one when there was a clump of mold in their feeder. So the source of sauerkraut sometimes can be the food that they're eating itself. So keep an eye on keeping those feeders clean and avoiding any kind of spoiled food. You want to make sure that your chickens always have access to a granite poultry grit. I hear from people frequently that say, well, my chicken's free range, they don't need grit. It's a small investment in their health, and I believe that they do. What's in our environment may not be adequate for helping them digest their food in their gizzard, and poultry granite grit is. So make it available in their coop at all times, free choice in a separate dish from oyster shell. You want to prevent access to long fibrous plant material. So this includes long grass, lawn clippings, straw, hay, anything that's going to be hard for them to digest. I learned my lesson years ago when I had several chickens develop sauerkraut at once from eating lawn clippings. And after doing research, learned that's a big no-no. I simply didn't know. Sometimes we learn the most from our mistakes. Lawn clippings are just too easy for them to eat a whole bunch all at once. It can get all clogged up inside their system and cause a blockage. And that's what happened. I was treating multiple very sick chickens for sauerkraut at once. Keep them out of the lawn clippings. They can't be somewhere where the chickens can access them. Ditto for long grass. And my chickens want to eat hay and straw, so I've got to keep that out of their coop and run as well. You want to prevent access to foreign materials like string, plastic, styrofoam, anything a chicken might think is fun to eat, because they certainly will and do. My neighbor boys were playing with Nerf guns and a bunch came over my fence, and my chickens decided that was a great thing to eat. So watch what's in your environment. Chickens aren't the smartest about eating things that they can have access to. If you have to use antibiotics, make sure you follow up with an appropriate probiotic for poultry following the antibiotics. It will really help redevelop that good balance of flora in their digestive system to prevent issues going forward. We have reached the end, and I really want to thank you for your patience and your time and your commitment to learning about your chickens. If you liked what you heard today, I want to invite you to join the Humboldt Hen Helper community. I'm on Facebook and Instagram as the Humboldt Hen Helper. And you can get on my email newsletter list by going to my website, humboldthenhelper.org. I send out an email newsletter once a month with super tips of how to care for your chickens. Like I was speaking of earlier, Humboldt Hen Helper is a nonprofit, and I run on donations. I'm a very small nonprofit. I don't do a lot of fundraising. We don't have a CEO that gets paid. I don't do telemarketing or mail donation campaigns. I really just rely on donations, and I use those donations to keep things on hand that people in my community might need when their chicken is ill or injured or needs help in some way. And I like to keep a big arsenal of items so that I'm ready to act immediately on things that they might not have known that they needed. So this month, March, all donations of any amount, even $1 goes a long ways to help me get more supplies. Any donation, I will send you by email a free Biosecurity 101 ebook. It will have all my tried and true methods for keeping my flock safe. Aside from actual physical security, where you're keeping your chickens safe from predators, biosecurity is that next level of protection to keep them safe from parasites, microorganisms, and diseases that might be transmitted from flock to flock. I'd love to share this information with you. And again, a donation of any size will get you this free ebook. You can do a donation on Venmo or PayPal. Here's the 2 QR codes for you to utilize if you'd be interested in doing that. And I really appreciate your consideration. It really helps the efforts that I'm doing in my community. And you can reach out anytime with questions. My email is humboldthenhelper@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing more from you about your chickens and helping you resolve chicken issues. Again, thank you for being here and part of the Backyard Chicken Summit today. I'm looking forward to getting to know you out there in the online community.